It was a quiet autumn morning, and Donna Helena, at 65 years old, sat in her favorite armchair, a cup of lemon balm tea warming her hands. The soft sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating the small altar she kept at home, adorned with a Bible, a candle, and photos of her children and grandchildren. The silence was broken only by the sound of a gentle breeze rustling the leaves in the yard. For Helena, that moment was sacred, a time to connect with her memories, her pains, and above all, her faith. Life after 50, for her, was a journey of healing, not just of the body but of the soul, guided by the promise of a divine love that never fails. Helena always saw life as a winding path, full of curves, climbs, and descents, but leading to a destination of peace. As a young woman, she dreamed of becoming a nurse, helping others, and building a large family. Life, however, had other plans. She married Mario, a man with a kind heart, and together they had 2 children, Carla and Eduardo. The house, once filled with children's laughter and lively conversations, was now more serene, but her grandchildren brought renewed joy. For Helena, maturity was a time to reflect on the past, live the present with gratitude, and trust in the promises of a hope-filled future. Memories of the past, roots of faith. Closing her eyes, Helena let her memories carry her back to her childhood. She grew up in a small town in the interior of Rio Grande do Sul, where life was simple but rich in affection. She recalled afternoons playing in the yard with her siblings, faith-filled stories told by her grandmother by lamplight, and Sunday masses when the community gathered to pray and celebrate. Her grandmother, Donna Amelia, was a woman of unshakable faith who said, "God is the light that guides even in the darkest nights." Those words became Helena's foundation, especially in times of pain. Life tested that faith many times. 12 years ago, Helena faced a devastating loss when Mario passed away after a long battle with cancer. The nights of anguish by her husband's side, the ceaseless prayers, and the uncertainty left deep marks. Even after the loss, Helena found strength in her faith, believing that Mario was at peace and that God would sustain her. That experience taught her that healing is not just physical, but also emotional and spiritual, and that divine presence is a balm for the deepest wounds. Memories of her children were also a treasure. Helena smiled as she recalled Carla, at 5 years old, insisting on healing the yard's critters with cloth bandages, or Eduardo, who loved building sandcastles at the beach. But there were challenges, like when Eduardo in his youth struggled with addiction. Helena suffered in silence but never stopped praying. In time he sought help, recovered, and today was a devoted father. For Helena, this was proof that faith and love can transform even the most difficult paths. Helena also remembered her youth when she and Mario were dating. They would walk through the city park, dreaming of the future. They married in a modest but love-filled ceremony and built a life together, facing highs and lows with partnership. Those memories were like a lighthouse, guiding her through days of loneliness. Everyday stories, the joy of grandchildren and home. Her grandchildren, Sophia and Lucas, were Helena's light. On weekends, the house came alive with their voices. Sophia, 10 years old, loved sitting with her grandmother to hear stories or help make cookies. "Grandma, does God really hear our prayers?" she asked with curious eyes. Helena answered with warmth, sharing how God had answered her prayers throughout her life. Lucas, 7 years old, preferred exploring the yard, chasing ants, or playing on the old swing Mario had built. Taking care of the house was a source of peace. Helena kept everything in order, with a touch of care. The living room, with its antique furniture and family photos, told the story of her life. The wardrobe held the wool blanket she knitted for Carla, and the bookshelf displayed the prayer books inherited from her grandmother. For Helena, the house was a sanctuary of memories and love. She loved cooking, and the aroma of vegetable soup or cornbread drew the grandchildren to the kitchen. Health required care. Helena dealt with joint pain and occasional anxiety, but didn't let it bring her down. She walked every morning, took her medications, and joined a prayer group at church, where she found friends like Donna Teresa. There they shared stories, laughter, and mutual support. Age brings challenges, but also wisdom to face them, Helena said. She believed that caring for the body was a way to honor life, and nurturing the soul with prayer was what kept her strong. In daily life, Helena cherished small rituals. She liked waking up early, lighting a candle at the altar and praying. Sometimes she read the Bible or wrote in her journal, noting thoughts and gratitudes. These moments connected her with God and herself, bringing peace to her heart. She also stayed in touch with her children, calling to check on them or sending loving messages. Reflections: faith as the door to healing. For Helena, faith was the key that opened the door to healing. Inspired by divine promises, she found strength to overcome any pain. Every morning she sat with her Bible, reading verses about hope and restoration. "Lord, guide my steps and heal my heart," was her daily prayer. She believed God was a constant companion, listening to her pleas and bringing peace. Faith helped her face the uncertainties of maturity. At 65, Helena thought about the future. How much time do I have? Will my children and grandchildren be okay? Instead of letting fear take over, she chose to trust. Inspired by the idea that God is the light in the darkness, she felt her life still had purpose. She wanted to be an example for her grandchildren, showing that faith transforms pain into hope, and that age is an opportunity to live fully. Helena also reflected on forgiveness. She had learned that holding on to grudges was like carrying heavy stones. When Eduardo struggled with his issues, she could have closed herself off in resentment, but she chose to pray and embrace him. That gesture brought healing to both. Forgiving is like setting a caged bird free. It flies, and so do we, she thought. This practice freed her, allowing peace to flow in her heart. Gratitude was another constant lesson. Helena learned that giving thanks for small things, the bird's song, her grandchildren's health, a pain-free day, changed her perspective. "When we give thanks, we see God in everything," she said. She kept a gratitude journal, noting 3 good things each day, from grand moments like Lucas's birth to simple details like the aroma of fresh coffee. Helena also thought about time. With age, days seemed to pass faster, and she wondered if she had lived fully. Have I loved enough? Have I made a difference? These reflections led her to change habits. She started visiting friends more often, writing letters to her children, and revisiting hobbies like embroidering tablecloths. Life is a gift, and every day is a chance to spread love, she thought. Promises and hopes, a future of peace. Looking to the future, Helena dreamed of simple but meaningful days. She wanted to watch her grandchildren grow, perhaps travel to a peaceful place like Gramado, where she could feel the fresh mountain air. She dreamed of organizing her memories in a notebook for the family, sharing stories of faith and resilience. "I want my grandchildren to know that God never abandons us," she said. Helena also had spiritual promises. She believed God still had plans for her, even in her later years. Inspired by the idea that faith is a bridge to healing, she felt called to help others. In the prayer group, in conversations with neighbors, or in messages sent to friends, Helena wanted to be a channel of hope. "If I can bring peace to someone, my mission will be fulfilled," she thought. Her hope extended to her family. Helena prayed that Carla and Eduardo would find balance in their busy lives, and that Sofia and Lucas would grow up with faith and kindness. She knew she couldn't control the future, but she trusted that by surrendering her worries to God, everything would align. "God is the light that guides, even through the path's curves," she reflected, recalling her grandmother's words. Helena also dreamed of strengthening the community. She thought about starting a Bible reading group for seniors or teaching embroidery to young people at church, sharing her talent and faith. "No matter the age, there's always something to offer," she said. She believed every act of love was a seed that blossomed into blessings. Life is a garden of healing, Helena compared life to a garden. Each phase, childhood, youth, maturity, was a season. In childhood, we plant dreams. In youth, we water them with courage, facing storms. In maturity, we harvest fruits, but also care for the soil, pruning what no longer serves and planting new seeds. At 65, Helena felt her garden was flourishing, but there was still room for new colors. Challenges were like storms that shake the garden. Mario's loss was a gale, leaving Helena's heart in pieces. But with time, faith helped her replant. She learned that healing comes gradually, like buds sprouting after rain. A garden isn't perfect, but it's alive, she thought. Faith was the root that kept her steady, and love, the sun that made her grow. Helena valued the small things. A smile from Sofia, a blooming flower, an answered prayer. These were the most precious flowers in her garden. Her gratitude journal helped her see beauty in the details, even on tough days. "When we give thanks, the garden comes alive," she said. The power of communion. Helena had learned that communion is a healing force. In the prayer group, she found support and friendship. Sharing stories, praying together, and laughing with friends was like watering the garden of the heart. Alone we are fragile. Together we are strong, she thought. She believed God's presence manifested in unity, bringing peace and restoration. She also valued generosity. Even with limited resources, Helena made a point to help. She donated food to the church, offered words of comfort, and sometimes simply listened to those who needed to vent. When we share love, it multiplies, she said, inspired by the promise that generosity attracts blessings. These gestures brought joy and strengthened her faith, a legacy of hope. Helena knew her greatest legacy was spiritual. She wanted her grandchildren to grow up knowing that faith is the foundation of a fulfilling life, that forgiveness frees, and that love overcomes any pain. So she told stories, sang hymns with Sophia, taught Lucas to pray, and wrote messages to her children, sharing life lessons. "My grandmother taught me to believe, and I want to pass that on," she said. In the community, Helena was an example. She participated in church events, helped with charity campaigns, and always had an encouraging word. Doing good is planting seeds of light, she thought. She believed every act of love made a difference in the world, a future illuminated by faith. Looking at the horizon, Helena felt peace. She knew old age would bring challenges, perhaps more pain, perhaps goodbyes. But she also knew each day was a chance to live with purpose. She wanted to learn something new, like painting or cooking new recipes. She dreamed of traveling with her children, even if just to a nearby town, and savoring every moment with them. Above all, Helena wanted to be a reflection of divine love. She believed her life, with its scars and joys, was a testament that God heals. If I can inspire one person to trust, to forgive, to love, my mission will be complete, she thought. As the sun rose, Helena lit the altar's candle and prayed. The verse of the day spoke of peace. "The peace I give, the world cannot give." She smiled, feeling her heart warmed. Life wasn't perfect, but it was rich, rich in faith, love, and hope. "Lord, may my life be a praise to you," she whispered. Helena stood up, ready for the day. At 65, she knew there was still much to live for. Each sunrise was a new page, a chance to plant, water, and harvest in the garden of life. And on that path she walked lightly, knowing that God guided her today and always.